So we're working on a rolling single wing choke, kata hajime, and I'll come around when you finish them. The guys are ending up in this position, and you can see there he might filter over there and end up in an inverted or topside triangle choke. And we're just drilling on some stuff tonight, and that's one of the things we're drilling on. And get the single wing rolling kata hajime. You see there?
Scooping right there.
Grabs the arm, pulls it up there. See how he grabs his own ankle and finishes out there. And there's the choke. So that's really good for if you're Derek in this case, and you roll them. And Eric's is just not giving up. He's a tough guy. He's just not tapping what he should have tapped, but he's not. So this is a good plan B, certainly a nasty plan B.
And it helps especially if they're like holding on to the lapels from the get-go. So they haven't gotten their hands together. Sometimes you can get it with the hands together too, but it's perfect for this. You just pull that hand over and step over the
yeah, and you trap that arm. Yeah, absolutely correct. We'll keep going, guys. I'll do a few more, and then we'll move on to other stuff. But so we start with a rolling single wing choke. If you do that, you should have that quite well. This is why we end up on the buttocks.
Yep. That's my scoop. Another one. Is it? There you go. That one comes up. Oh, sorry. Well, you kept holding on to that. I was going to try to pull it out.
That happens in practice. By the way, everyone watching, you want to end up rolling into a seated position.
same side as your when we come through here, keep that choking hand. I'm just going to pull that up.
The one by the head.
Yep. Okay. And then now, when this foot comes up, since this is the arm that I'm choking,
you can see how he's grabbing now. He grabs with his left hand on his right foot. Finishes there, we have it. Okay, so that's a rolling kata hajime or single wing choke right into an inverted triangle. So we'll move on from there. Those guys are getting it.
Yep.
And there you can see, there we have it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Two more each.
What we were doing before was head on the outside. So what happens if the guy sticks his head on the inside? Okay. So we're still going to go for a triangle. It's just going to be slightly different. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and catch my leg on this side. Okay.
So your left hand will be catching your right ankle.
Right.
I see it.
Right. And vice versa if he's going after the other leg.
Right.
Okay. And then I'm going to post, hold this leg up, and as we roll over, see how I still have my hand? Catch right there, inverted triangle. So one more time, he shoots in. Okay. Crouch down, catch my shin. Post if you have to, but honestly you don't really have to. Roll. Catch. Squeeze. Okay. To finish from there, if you don't feel you quite have it, okay, I'm going to roll. Catch here, get his waist, and then just pull his waist and bridge into him. So hold on nice and tight, and then just push your hips in.
And a lot of people think that's like a really fancy way. It's actually just a good survival mode way of doing it, but total control by grabbing him and tight waisting. Is basically what you're doing. You're really controlling his whole trunk of his body, and from the shoulders onto the hips.
I've had times where guys were a little bit higher up on the single, like right here, and I'll catch their waist like this, and then just come in. And then if I have to adjust.
But you've established control with the roll.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're holding onto the waist, even if he's up nice and high, it's hard for him to get you anywhere if we're here. And if he tries to get his head up and toss me over that way, that's even better. Okay. So if you're not comfortable using your feet like that, reach down and grab the shin again, bring it up. Okay? Good?
Yeah, that's what Mike was pointing out before. Don't be afraid of adjusting your control. And don't grab your toes. And like Mike, you pointed out, put the foot, the top of the foot where the laces would be on the inside of your knee,
right,
on the back of your knee.
And really all you need with triangles is to get your legs crossed. Okay, once you get used to using the shin to reposition, if your feet are crossed and you've got one arm in, you've got what you need. You just grab and adjust when you have the time, okay? Don't rush it. Rush to get your feet crossed. After that, you're home free, okay? If he starts wiggling around and trying to get out of it, you grab the shin, and then from there, all it is just readjusting. It doesn't matter what position you're in, all right? Okay?
I would also, if you cross your legs wrong on the initial one from the guard, you want to make sure not uncross and grab your shin if you're going to readjust and recross your legs to go to the other side. Get put on top.
Yeah, good points, guys. Yeah. Okay, we good on that? Did you want to see that one more time, the full through? And if you want to do the body lock control as well. There we have it. Okay. All right, let's give it a go, guys. Great, thanks.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a necktie variation of a triangle. So you're starting from a north-south type position.
Derek, you might want to speak up because they're talking.
I'm going to go ahead and step through the armpit, reach and grab my ankle. That's where the necktie part comes from. Then I pull it through as I sit down onto my butt, and then I control his hips so it doesn't roll. Okay? So step around, catch the ankle. Okay.
Now your ankle, let me see where you catch that, Derek. I'm coming through here. Let me get a better angle for the cameraman. There we go. So your left hand is grabbing your right ankle right there. So that's how you set it. You're pushing his arm out of the way so I can see. Yeah. Okay. So we've got that. All right.
Okay. As soon as you get the ankle, we're going to post.
Oh, I'll come back over to the other side. Sorry.
So we post over here. This is the beginning of our control of his hips. It also makes it a lot easier. You just pull that up and then sit back. Okay.
And by grabbing that hip, it really gives you an extra anchor to sit through.
It almost becomes like you're pulling him this way.
Okay. Let's go ahead a little more normal speed. So we'll just let you start from there.
It's named after the sleeve. Okay. Soto. Okay.
And it's a real quick, sudden, unexpected setup for a Sankaku triangle choke from the top.
Most people would think it's a reverse triangle anyways, or that I'm going to turn him this way to go for it. Really, I just want to get through, get a hold of the ankle, and then spin.
And a lot of people think they have to really roll, and sometimes you do for some of the great triangle setups we got from that position, but this one you don't. It's basically, it's like you say, it's a necktie. And show us again, and... Okay, again, you'll notice if you can cross your legs when you're sitting down in a chair, it's the same movement. You don't need to be very bendy to get this move. Okay, I keep it right there, lace it up. And there's no roll really needed. You know, the weight distribution is you're just sitting on your, actually in your case now, your left hip the last time. Okay, can you show it from that same direction again? So when you roll it in and you extend that, and it helps reach through, you get that with the right hand through, reaches, okay, good, and you just pull it through, really. And it sits you on your left buttocks, and now you try over.
And you just triangle.
And that's a nice setup. So that's really the, it's a necktie triangle from the top, basically top ride position, Sankaku Jime. Okay, everybody, what we're doing here tonight is from a leg press position, and you got him in a good ju-jitsu controlling situation here, and Steve's on top, Eric's on the bottom. What we're going to do is finish him if you can't get the arm lock, okay, and you know, Steve's trying and you know, Eric's offering really good defense, whatever, and yeah, it's just not working. So now let's switch to something else. Let's go to a triangle choke from this position. A lot of you guys know it, some of you don't. Those of you don't know it, you're going to learn it tonight. It's a cool move. So Steve, why don't you go ahead and kind of, if you want to coach through it, talk through it, I'll add comment. I think Derek's over here. He will too. So.
I think when you first showed this to me, I tried it up in St. Joe, and I was going against this demoing of this bigger guy, and we were doing this, and he said, "Oh, you know, that's fantastic. Who's going to fall for this?" And then we were doing randori later that evening, and I suckered him right into it because, oh, it works. So I can't get the arm press, you know, so nothing's working. So he has this room in here, Eric has this room, so I can just slip his leg right through here.
So the leg that's actually closest to his legs, that's across his body, you pop it up and slip it through. There you go.
And we'll
okay.
Pull on him, and Eric's going to go with me because he doesn't want his arm bar. Boom. Then you just form that pillow right there.
Press what?
And there's a double trouble move with the arm bar and the...
And you got the triangle choke and you got the ju-jitsu. Let's look at that again. So you got him leg press. Now watch, you make yourself, and look at with your left leg, you're kind of controlling his head. You're kind of being nice to him right now, but you kind of press it at first and then move it out slightly so you have room to work, don't you? Okay, now your right leg is filtered through. You roll back on your right hip, the hip closest to his hip, form your triangle. See that? Kick your leg over. And now you finish him back down, you can end up right into a juji. And you can choke him from that position as well. Okay, Derek, you have a way of doing this. We've shown it in some of our books too. By the way, everybody, this is in Jiu-Jitsu Encyclopedia. Let's just peddle our book here.
So I'm switching the view around because I'm going to be doing more to force the issue. A lot of guys aren't going to let me filter my foot through. Okay, so unless you're pretty flexible and dexterous with your feet, you're not going to get it through there. So what I'll do usually is I'll be pulling this and trying to get it out. I'll use the hip grab that we usually do for uppercutting and pulling it out to lever it free up this way.
You're right. Your left hand in this case is levered on your right thigh. Right, there you go. Right I see it. Right, okay.
And once I get it up here, if I can't pull it free, I'm going to take my foot and put that right there into his bicep, and that'll either give me the grip break to finish, or that'll give me enough space to just pop through. And as soon as it's popped through, I keep my feet here, but then when I roll back, I catch right there. I wait until I'm all the way back before I let go of his head.
So your right knee is actually helping lift his head.
Right.
As you roll back.
So I roll back. As soon as I get space, I push with that knee, and that creates a lot tighter grip. And if he's not tapping already, he taps pretty quick, or you just grab it.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
For you, not for the other guy. Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right, so there's your leg press. Okay. That helps create some space.
Push it through.
There you go.
Lean this way, push his head up.
That's when you form that triangle, and you can roll back and get the tap out. And if he's a tough guy or just not particularly bright and won't tap out, you can still get the arm lock. So as Steve said, you can get some double trouble action there too if you get the juji and the tap out.
I'll usually stay on this hip, because otherwise if I come back here, you notice I don't have the squeeze anymore for the juji, for the triangle choke, even if I sit up. So as soon as I come back to a sitting position, I lose the choke. So stay on your hip pointed towards his knees or his feet. And that way you've still got the choke. You good? Yeah. Okay. You've still got the choke here while you're levering free, and you've got more than enough space to get the juji and the choke.
Okay, guys, so that is actually, it's a triangle choke, a Sankaku Jime from a leg press position. Very common position. If you see this, I'll tell you a guy who did it quite well years ago when he was still active was Neil Adams. He was one of the first guys to actually do this and teach it in camps, training camps. And it might have been where I first saw it. I can't remember. I remember this has been around a long time. But it's when you get a guy in double trouble, boy, that's good for you and bad for him. So, okay, let's practice that. And we'll come back. We'll do some other stuff. Okay? Go get them, guys.
Break down. I'm breaking them down. So I'm right here riding them. Again, we worked on riding last week, didn't we? So I'm going to pull this in nice and tight. Keep my weight on him as I move around. I'm going for the gi or wherever I can get and feed it in there. I'm sitting right on him. Keep my legs in close. All right, until I get them tight. Now I'm going to roll them over. Or I got the key lock. And it's nice and tight right now for the Sankaku. All right, so you don't have a whole lot of time to waste here, but you got them pretty crunched up. Pull this in tight, nice and tight, sit on them. Sit on them nice and tight, got them tight here. There, and roll like that. And if you do miss the arm, he gets that way. Okay, you're right into the pin.
And he's still got my hand.
Yeah, and this is...
Guys, he's kept that key lock. He keys off this. First time I saw this was a long time ago, but it was a guy named Kashiwazaki who did this. And that's where we started drilling on this back in the 80s when he was so famous for doing this stuff. That's where we picked it up in our club, watching that guy. He was a very good judo champion and world sambo champion too, wasn't he? So, yep. Okay, do it one more time, then we'll drill on it. So watch how he sets it up, guys. It's off of like a near wrist ride, basically.
Pull it in here tight. Pull it put the pressure on him. Put him down. Keep his head down.
Now take your time. Show him how you form that key lock, Kelvin.
All right.
Everybody come up here and look if you need to see it.
I underhook from that near wrist. I got worked into underhook. Then I just grab some gi, or you can get the belt, but I like gi better. I think it's a lot tighter. Now I got him. See, look, he's already rolling over. Already. And if I need to adjust up here a little bit more at the end, and get it right there. I mean, I'm already breaking him down.
The combination of him cranking that arm back and holding it there and then sitting on your shoulders literally makes you want to turn over, just subconsciously, because it's not comfortable at all.
We good on that, guys? Down Sankaku. And again, Derek's coming from the top, forming a triangle. Now, Mike on the bottom doesn't want any part of that. He's going to break it open and try to stand up. Well, Derek stays with it and rolls him over and finishes it with his own triangle. Let's look at that again. We'll come from a back view. Guys, start from the same position. I'll just come from a back view. So Mike, turn around the other way. So we'll come around so you can see what Derek's doing here. He comes in with a Sankaku. Mike stands up. Derek stays with him. He forms his own Sankaku, and he can end up in a nice pin situation, but he's formed the triangle. We've seen this in MMA also. It's an upside down triangle. The first I really saw it done years ago at the US Open in Judo. But then again, if you look at the book Shimewaza by Kashiwazaki in the Masterclass series, he has this in the book. So it's really a kind of an upside down triangle choke, Sankaku. And you can see the bottom man tries to stand up. He stays with it, and he just keeps rolling, and he just ends up in an upside down triangle. So it's a fun move to do. It actually has been done in competition on an international level, so I know it works. And there we have it. Yeah, a little bit of a weird move, but sometimes weird works. But the idea is that once you form the triangle and he tries to bust it open by standing up and going through it, the top man doing it stays with it, and he finishes with his own triangle. There we have it. So it's kind of the reverse triangle, I guess, upside down triangle. We'll watch it one more time. It's fun to work on. It's just one of those interesting moves. There we go, very nice. He finishes off to a standard triangle himself, Sankaku, and then to a pin and a little upside down action. Okay, there we have Sankaku Jime, triangle choke from the basic bottom position. And Derek Darling's choked a few people in his career with this move, and I'm going to have him coach it for you. So take it away, Derek.
Okay, so the basic idea is to get his forearm or his elbow on my hip or beyond my hip. If you think about it that way, the Sankaku is a really easy move to do. So the easiest way is to get wrist control and push down. And as soon as his elbow is down here by my knee or my thigh, you loop over. Don't just slide your foot up here like this, because then he just gets his arm back out and now he's passed. Push and then hook. It's almost like I'm whacking him with the back part of my cap. As soon as I get that, I've got this nice 90-degree bend and his head's pointed down. Loop up and trap my ankle with my other foot. You'll notice that my toes are pointing up. Don't point them sideways. You might think it's easier to get that way, but you'll actually give him more space. And space in Sankaku means you're not choking him, okay? So loop and immediately point the toes up.
See how you're pointing the toes up to trap it, trap the knee.
From there, squeeze your thighs together, and they'll usually tap. If they don't, pull the arm over, squeeze again.
Now the point Derek is making here, don't get overly concerned about pulling his arm across your chest as some people do. That's kind of a dead giveaway that what you're going to be doing. So the idea here is to really get your legs formed around his neck. That's more important. And notice he actually turned a little bit to the side as well too. So by angling a bit to the side, Derek, you want to show that when you do that, see a little side action?
If your legs are shorter, don't despair that you can't do the Sankaku. You just have to turn to the side It makes it easier for you to cross your feet. So the shorter they are, the more shrimping you do to the side. So push, and as you go to the side, you just shrimp to the side.
See the side angle here.
My legs are really short. I want to be almost 90 degrees from his head. Over, squeeze together.
And also you could get a double trouble here with a Jujigatami from that position as well, couldn't you? So you don't get the choke, you get the arm lock, and sometimes you get both. You get them in both.
Double trouble is a lot easier from the side. Sometimes even when I've got square on and he's not tapping, I'll either pull on the side of his hands here or I'll get an underhook and pull. But either way, I'm now sideways and I just get a hold of the arm, push my feet down and hit side.
And get the double trouble. So one more time, the basic Sankaku or Sangaku triangle choke from the bottom. And there we have it. There are three fundamental ways of doing triangle from three directions. This one is the basic from the back. Then the other one when he's on his elbows and knees and you come from the top. And then when he's, you're actually you have his back and do it from the back position. This is one of the three basics. And of course there are many, many variations of Sankaku Jime. So there we have it, Sankaku Jime, the basic variation of it as we practice here at Welcome Mat. We're going to do a little necktie action. It's actually a lapel strangle along with the triangle choke, or the triangle strangle, Sankaku Jime. So Eric on the bottom, he's going to be sneaky now. What he's going to do with his right, here's what he's going to do. With his right hand, eventually he's going to grab Steve's right lapel, okay? And he'll do the choke. But to set that up, this is very deceptive on the bottom guy's part. So he's fighting off out of his guard, he's working, and with his left hand he just grabs the lapel, the right lapel. And don't pull it very much, just what you want to do is straighten it, like pull it like a rope. All right, now that opens it up. Now you notice he doesn't overtly try to start his triangle. The top guy, Steve, doesn't think triangle's coming. He just knows he's pulling on his lapel, so he may posture out a little bit to avoid it. And as he does that, Eric slides his right hand up there and he makes sure that he puts his thumb under Steve's ear. Because now his top of his hand, the inside blade of his wrist, is right on Steve's right carotid. And that's where he wants to be. Now, as he does this, so he's got the setup there. There's his anchor. Now, as he does this, he's going to quickly slide his right leg over. And notice as he does that, he changes his angle. He turns to the right. Then he forms the triangle. And he gets the nice, nasty tap. Now, watch what he does. He does a little quicker grab. Okay, he reaches through. Now, as he reaches through, he turns. Notice he turned to his right a bit. And as he did that, he swung his leg over the shoulder, formed the triangle, and he got it. So that's a real sneaky way to get a Sankaku Jime and add a little more oomph to it with a triangle choke, or with the lapel choke. Steve, you want to get it? Because you've got a good one too, and a little payback here on Eric. So notice, but guys, here's where being sneaky on the ground, before you start, Steve, before you get going here, being sneaky on the ground is very important. You got to be deceptive. You got to be deceptive. So Steve doesn't want Eric to think he's going to try the triangle. Eric's seen that before. He knows he's not going to let that leg come over the left shoulder. Steve's got to figure out a way to sneak it over there, and this is a great way to do it. So he's going to pull that. You're going to get there. Okay, swing it across. Now he's going to swing it across, and he can form the triangle. And there he's got the Sankaku Jime with the lapel. It's very, very sneaky. In our world on the ground fighting, sneaky is what we like, okay? Don, can you add anything to that? Because we've been coaching the guys in this, and we've been having a lot of fun with it tonight. So it's a lapel version of a kind of a lapel necktie with Sankaku Jime. Let's try it.
I think you really said it all when climbing up, and as soon as he starts to move, you're going to slip that sucker up in there, and and this part of your wrist and your hand, this is what chokes. So you don't want to get like this. You want to keep it like this, okay? You'll have a tendency to grab, and then your wrist bends backwards and bends around, but you're this way with your thumb. What Derek always says, you can touch his ear with your thumb, right? You still want to do that same thing here, and then as soon as your leg comes over, he's wanting to tap before you even hook your knee. and bend your elbows. You're pulling them in and keep those elbows bent. Just that. Okay?
All right, let's try that, guys. Good advice. Let's try that little necktie triangle choke, Sankaku Jime with a lapel necktie.
Okay, so we're going to go over a Russian drag to counter a sit-up or a stand-up out of your triangle. So the idea being he's going to try and pick me up. So if I pop free and I lock in my triangle, in most sports, if he picks me up off the ground, okay, we get a mate, stop situation. If it's self-defense, he slams me on the ground. Okay, so the next step from there is catch the triangle, and then as soon as the leg comes up, you hook. Okay, and what this will do is it's pretty static, but it keeps him from being able to lift me up. Go ahead and try it. Okay, at the very least, that's about as high as we get. Okay, so that's usually enough to stop it in sport from getting called. Okay, and it's definitely enough to stop it from him trying to spike me. But I'm still kind of fighting for control here. So usually you have to still come back and then lock it up, and then you get the tap out. Okay? Now what we're going to do is be a little bit more aggressive with this. Okay, so we're going to apply what we call a Russian drag. Basically what's going to happen as soon as he gets a foot flat on the floor, I'm going to drag it up to my ear. And what that's going to do is cause him to plop back down on his butt. Okay, so we catch. Okay, so you see I just drug that leg right up to my ear. He's stuck right here. I catch both the arm and the leg, and then we just squeeze. And if we need to, we can even apply double trouble.
He's tapping. Yeah, there he's tapping. Poor guy was tied up. He could not tap. Poor Vlad.
Okay, so one more time through. Again, so shut through, catch the triangle, and down we go. And he even beat me to the punch a little bit there. But you'll notice as soon as I caught that and drug it up to my ear, now he's down on his side. Okay, and in this case, my feet aren't entirely caught. So what I can do instead is catch the wrist, point that thumb away from me, and then pop in, or we can push it over that way, and then finish the choke. And basically, we just sit up and squeeze.
Derek, can you point out the side you're doing it, the leg over the neck, you're doing the drag on the other side.
Right.
So,
right. So if the knot of my feet are on this side, that's where I'm dragging, okay? I don't want to try and drag on both sides, okay? You pick one side and you go for it. So the best way is to go away from it. So if I catch here, and he comes up. Okay, now, see how my feet are much tighter? Okay, and we've rolled to where the knot's on the floor, and I can finish pretty easy on my side. Before, when I was going on the same side as the knot of my feet, okay, I'm not going to be able to shrimp into it. You can notice already the body mechanics are a little bit weird. But if the knot's on this side, and I go after the foot on this side, it's a natural curve into it. I have a lot more power to it. So one more time through, catch, and down we go. Okay, and again, finish with the arm bar if you have to.
now sometimes I've seen you guys. I've seen you choke competitors, or you're, a fighter in a judo tournament. The guy actually was sitting on his butt when you finish it. He was just sitting on his haunches. Can you kind of,
sure,
if Vlad can replicate that?
So the more ballistic you get with it, the easier it is to pop him on his butt. So as soon as I get this and that foot comes up, there he goes. Okay. Now that he's there, it's pretty easy, since I'm still on my back and not on my side, to re-triangle my legs. And if I have to, I'll reach up and do what we call the necktie. I'll grab the shin on the inside of my other knee. Okay, so right in there, okay? Oops, sorry. You'll notice that now that if I do unlace it and he tries to put his foot up, I still have control. He might get his arm out of there, but the idea is I can pull down now and really crunch into him. So,
And that's often an ideal situation, because I have seen you do that in judo competitions before. We just put him flat on his butt, and you've given yourself some time to really tie in tighter with
right.
your triangle.
And he's pretty much stuck there. He can kind of roll over to the side, but that's almost even worse for him because then I'm going to go belly down on an arm.
Guys, why we like this, because you start your triangle, you don't give him any out if you do the Russian drag. You pop him back down. He's sitting on his buttocks. He's no longer on a stable base.
Right.
He's one leg's extended. He's kind of stuck, and that's what we have. One more time, and then we will let everybody drill on this because this is a great move. We want to drill on it. And there's your drag. Okay, guys, let's give it a try. Let's work on the Russian drag from the triangle, or Sankaku Jime.
Starting off with Munigatami, and this is really good if the guy's got his elbow that he's wedging in there, okay? So he's not letting me get my knee in his armpit, so I'm gonna sit through the kesa and then take it one step further. As soon as that foot comes through, I catch his head, right? So as soon as I get that head, I can pull up to my chest and step over. And then it just slides right through because I've lifted his head up enough to get my inverted triangle. Plus, since I had the underhook from Mooney still, I've got a nice bent or straight arm lock over here. Okay? So I can either hold him down and mess with his arms, or I can hold this arm and get the triangle.
And the nice thing about this, guys, you know, Derek can, you know, like work the bottom man TJ into this. He can like let him think he's getting out, like let him have that arm to wedge in there. So maybe lose, you know, have it purposely do it a little loose. So there you go. And he's thinking, oh boy, I can push up on that hip to start my escape from a side position. Sit through, you stick him back in that good pin, come over, look at that head. That's where you loop over and catch it. And it's not easy, but it's a natural progression to that loop, that kicking over that head.
It's not a real hard move either.
It's not, yeah, you're right, Sandy. It's not a hard move. It's kind of a natural progression from one thing to the next.
It doesn't take 14 million steps. Right.
Yeah, the point is it doesn't take a whole lot of different steps. It's just a matter of continually controlling. And, you know, and again, our approach to it is we don't want to lose control. You don't give up control to get a submission. The submission comes from constantly, gaining more control.
By doing it, by not giving up your position, like you were saying, Coach, as I'm coming through here, if I can't get my feet together, I'm still pinning him here. He's
still got a great north-south Kamishi Ogatami situation. He's still stuck.
I can stay here all day long because I've got both of his arms in his head. All right, I'm going to sit here and wait. And eventually I'll get this arm, or I'll be able to shift my feet and get the triangle. There's a whole bunch. If this is an MMA situation, I can hit him there, or I can switch back through to a crucifix. I'm just working my position all around his shoulders.
You remember, top guy, you're winning, you're controlling. That's the point of, and again, we're starting from, like we were saying earlier, osai komi means to apply an immobilization, put the opponent into a total controlling, pressing, immobilizing situation. You're winning if you're on top. Yep. Don't give it up. Just, if the rules are like in MMA or something, submission grappling, where you have to submit him instead of pin him, keep him there. Keep him parked there till he quits. Right. Like Sean Watson said, like we were saying earlier. Then you can apply a good submission. Yep. Let's look at that one more time, and then we'll have the guys practice on it. So we start there from a side control, Munigatami chest hold. He sits through. Okay, now watch. He comes over hooks. See how he hooks that head up, ties it up. Nice tie up there. In this case, we're catching both the arm and the head, which makes it a tighter triangle choke from there. So we're finishing with this nice triangle choke and maybe even an arm lock on the other side. Yep. And J.P. Pocock at Shingitai Camp last year was showing he did it without the arm control. Right. But I think the arm control, not to knock his move because it's a good move, but if you have arm control, it's a tighter choke, a lot tighter choke.
Plus, as long as we're fighting from a kesa standpoint here, this underhook is keeping me safe. Yeah. He's not going to be able to try and climb up and get my back, or even if he's super bending and he starts using his feet to come over the top and pull me back, this underhook is going to be my lifeline right here.
Right there, that right hand under that, controlling that shoulder.
Right there. As opposed to right here, he can still wiggle his way around and get my leg on the back. I can finish it from here pretty simply, pull his head up.
Yeah.
Come through.
And that underhook is something that John Saylor likes. He likes to give up that head and catch that underhook with the right hand there. because he says he has so much more control.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, you know, even if I'm just doing this is a pretty good.
Yeah, you've caught him. You stuck him.
Right, pin.
Yeah.
Plus I can start working other things, you know, go right into the arm lock. And if this doesn't work, you know, if I've got this controlled, I can post and again, step a little bit wider and come right back to it.
Yeah. So I'd say, you know, if you're in that Keisagatami, you know, head and arm, as the wrestlers call it, a scarf hold position, I'd go to the more modified attack, like you're doing and like Sailor advocates, come under there, okay?
Right.
Let's try that, guys. Let's give it a try, okay? So it's from a side position to Keisagatami to nice triangle to let him have it maybe with a bent arm lock or straight arm lock.